Hello. Today we're going to focus on Chapter 4, Section 7, on solving polynomial equations. Well, you already know what a polynomial is. It looks just like this, x squared minus 3x minus 10. That's a polynomial. A polynomial equation means that it is equal to something, and that we are trying now, instead of just factoring, to find out exactly what x is. Well, what is x? X is a root or a solution to the value of the variable that satisfies this equation. So we're trying to find for what value of x would make, when you square it, then multiply it by 3 and subtract 10, that we get 0. I'm going to ask that you skip this problem, and then we're going to come back to that either tomorrow or the next day when we're together. So let's start at this example. When I come here, these are two binomials, which means I've already factored my trinomial. And now what I'm trying to do is come up with what solution for this value will give me 0. So all I have to do is set both of these, 5x minus 6 equal to 0, and I set x minus 2 equal to 0. And then I simply solve. So I get 5x equals 6. And x equals 6/5. It is a-okay to get a fraction. You have to remember not everything's going to come out to a nice number. And then I'm going to add 2 and x equals 2. So my answer to this is that x equals 6/5 and 2. If I go back up here and plug it in here, if I put a 2 in here, 2 minus 2 is 0. 0 times anything else is going to give me 0. When I put in 6/5 here, 5 times 6/5 is going to be 30. 30 divided by 5 is 6, and 6 minus 6 is 0. 0 times this is going to give me 0. So this is my answer. When I do this, this is factored, but now I have an x out here, I have a 3x minus 1, and I have an x plus 10. You can't just ignore this x. So x also gets set equal to 0, which means 0 is a solution or a root to this problem. So then I'm going to set 3x minus 1 equal to 0, and I'm going to set x plus 10 equal to 0. I'm going to 3x equals 1, and x is 1/3. And then I'm going to subtract, and x is negative 10. So as you can see, it is okay to get zeros, it's okay to get fractions, it's okay to get negative integers or numbers. So x in this problem is x, 1/3, and negative 10. So this has 3 answers. And there's a reason it has 3 answers, and we're going to talk about it in a second. There's a reason this has 2 answers. So when I come here to our next example, it's no longer already factored for us. So the first thing we're going to do is have to factor the problem. Then once I factor it, it's going to look like this. And then once it's factored, I just set it equal to 0. What you have to remember is that we are solving quadratic or polynomial, quadratic equations or a polynomial. So when we're solving, it has to be set equal to 0. And the easiest thing, if you have x squared and x in a problem, is that you get everything to one side. And my best bet is never try to leave this term, the x squared term, negative, because it just makes it a little harder. So no matter which side you have to move them to, always move it so that the x squared stays positive. So since in this problem it's x squared, we're probably going to have 2 solutions. So that's what that kind of means. And if it's x cubed, then we should probably have 3 solutions. And that's where, in this problem, why we had 3 solutions is because that started with an x cubed. So first thing I'm going to do is factor. Well, since a is 1, this is really easy to factor. So I'm going to take factors of 18. That's 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 6 and 3. And I know that I have to come up with a 7. So the only way I can do that is with this. I know it's a negative, so I know it's x plus. I know it's x minus. I know that I want it to be positive. So the 9's here and the 2's here, and it equals 0. And now it looks exactly like what we just did. So you're going to set x plus 9 equal to 0, and I'm going to set x minus 2 equal to 0. I'm going to get x is negative 9, and I'm going to get that x is 2. those are two solutions. And if you checked, 2 squared is 4. 4 plus 2 times that is 14 minus 18. 4 plus 14 is 18 minus 18 equals 0. Check. And if I put a negative 9, that would be 81 plus 7 times negative 9 is negative 63. Minus 18 equals 0. And so when you do this, it becomes 18. 18 minus 0 is 0. So those are the two roots or two solutions that find that. So let's do another one together. Okay, here's our next equation. And the thing about this equation, it is set equal to 0, so I'm already ready to start. But now when I look at this, there's no GCF, and you still always want to look for a GCF. There is no GCF, but now A is not 1. So now it is that problem that I'm going to take this, and I'm going to get a 24. And I'm going to put 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. And I'm going to remember that I want to get a 10. You have to be careful here because I do have... This is going to give me 10, and so is this. So I need to be really careful. So I'm going to get x squared. I need to get a negative 10, but I need to subtract them. My signs have to be plus minus. So it is going to have to be the 2 and 12. So you want to just be real careful that you pick the right one and watch your... So I'm going to make it plus 12, nope, I'm going to do minus, oops, all right. I'm going to do minus 12x and then plus 2x, because that's how I get a negative 10, minus 8 equals 0. I'm going to split it right down the middle. I get a GCF of 3x, x minus 4. I know I need x minus 4 here. So I'm going to double check that if I put a plus 2, do I get 2x minus 8x? I do. My two factors are 3x plus 2 and my x minus 4, and they equal 0. Please remember, we're finding the value of x. We're finding the solution. So it's 3x plus 2 equals 0 and x minus 4 equals 0. So simply x is 4, and then 3x equals negative 2. And x equals negative 2/3. So my answer is negative 2/3, comma 4. Okay. All right, let's look. So let's look at this one. Pretty simple, set equal to 0. Just pay attention. There is a GCF before I start, so you really want to try to find that GCF. So if I take it out, I get x squared plus 11x plus 30, parentheses, equals 0. So why don't you take a second, factors of 30 that give you 11, break it down. So go ahead and do that. Plus plus makes my life very easy. And now you have a GCF, but your GCF is just 2. It's not 2x, it's not a variable. So if I was to take that 2 and set it equal to 0, that makes no sense. So that is nothing. It is only if your GCF is a variable that we have to consider 0 as an option. So x plus 6 equals 0, and x plus 5 equals 0. X is negative 6, and x is negative 5. Okay. Sorry, negative 6 and negative 5. Yep. Okay. I give you this. If I ask you to solve, then by accident it does need to be set equal to 0. So that is our first thing. And then this is a problem where we have a GCF that is a variable. And you realize this is x to the cubed, which means if it's cubed, if your highest degree is to a 3, that we are looking for 3 solutions. So first thing I'm going to do is pull out my GCF, which is x squared minus 4x minus 12. Why don't you take a second, pause the video, factor out. Factors of 12 that give you 4. Okay, after you paused, you should have got x minus 6, x plus 2 equaling 0. And then now you have to realize you have a GCF that is a variable. So you need to set that x equal to 0. You need to set x minus 6 equal to 0 and x plus 2 equal to 0. You're going to get 0, 6, and negative 2 as your answers. Okay? That makes sense, hopefully. All right, let's see what the last problem brings us. Okay, in our last problem, it looks great. We have a 2x squared, we have a 5x, but we have 12, and 12 is on the other side of the equal sign. So like I said, since this is our leading term, I want to make sure it stays positive. So if it's already positive, then I am going to get this 12 over to this side. Once I have it over, I set it equal to 0, and now you look for a GCF, but there is no GCF between a 2, a 5, and 12. So you're going to start your factor by grouping with a factor of 24. So please try to pause the video, finish this entire problem, see if you get it right. So hopefully you paused the video and did try this yourself. I did my factor list. I got 8 and 3 are going to give me a 5. I made sure my 8 was negative, and it doesn't matter if you wrote plus 3 minus 8. That does not matter. I'm going to draw my factor line. I'm going to get 2x as a GCF here and x minus 4 here. I know this has to be x minus 4. What will give me that is by putting a plus 3 here. Plus 3 gives me that. Minus 12 gives me that. So I always double check. My factors are 2x plus 3 and x minus 4, both equaling 0. And then I get 2x plus 3 equals 0, 2x equals negative 3, and then divide by 2. And here I get minus 4 equals 0, x is 4. So my answers, x is a negative 3/2 and a 4. Okay? So hopefully you remember, it's still factoring. We've done that already. And now that you are finding, please remember a root or a solution to a polynomial or quadratic if it's to the x squared equation. All right, good job. Thanks.